Jacob's head home. He just went through a bad experience here last week where he had to deal with his father-in-law. We know all about families and how things go in families. So he had to deal with his father-in-law, worried that his father-in-law was going to attack his little troop, and that didn't happen. And all that worrying, God took care of. Now he's got a new problem. He's headed home. But guess who's waiting for him at home? His brother. And when they left last time, the last thing that he heard about his brother is that as soon as his father died, his brother was going to kill him. Because he stole both his birthright and his blessing. Now, birthright is kind of important in the Israeli nation because things are passed down from father to the firstborn son. Gifts are given to the other children, but everything the father owned goes down to the firstborn. Well, he was able to take the firstborn's whole offering away from his older brother over a bowl of soup. Now, that was a story we talked about here several months ago. But do you think that's left Esau's mind? And now, here he is coming back with all his wives and kids. You know, the anticipation of something bad that's going to happen sometimes is as bad or worse than the event itself. It's waiting for that shoe to fall that we sometimes fear even more than the actual event. And that's what you're going to be hearing here. So, he is on the path, and he is going back home. God told him to go home. God prepared his way. God's been moving. So, as we look at this right here, he is going to end up in Mahanaim. Now, understand on this, and I like bringing in a little bit of history because it brings to life the Bible. So here's the Jordan River. He is not crossing the Jordan River. He is coming out of Syria and he's coming down here to this side, which will eventually be the land of Gad. This is where that part of the Israelite nation will live, is on this side of the Jordan River. So he has made it all the way to that point, all the time fearing what's going to happen when he meets up with his older brother. We are in Genesis 22, pretty much the whole chapter here. Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. Now, you see, if you go through the Bible and you look at instances where God had his angels talk to, speak to, meet with people, it doesn't happen very often. It has to be some important event. Here he was strengthened by these angels. When Jacob saw them, he said, "This is the camp of God." So he named it Mahanaim. Do you know that Mahanaim, that town that he named it right then, still exists to this day in Israel? Jacob sent messengers ahead of him to his brother Esau in the land of Seir. Seir was a mountain, okay? And the children of Esau ended up owning all of that property. He had gone in there and defeated the people and that's where he lived. Okay? So he sent people ahead of him to go see and talk to his brother, see if he could smooth things out in the country of Edom. And he instructed them, "This is what you are to say to my lord Esau. Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban and have remained there until now. I have cattle and donkey and sheep and goat and male and female servants, and now I am sending a message to my Lord that I might find favor in your eyes." When the messengers returned to Jacob, they said, "We went to your brother Esau, and now he is coming to meet you with 400 men are with him." That don't sound good, does it?
Not so much.
So he's told his brother he's coming back, and he gets word back that, yeah, your brother's coming to meet you, and he's bringing 400 armed men with him. That's not a good sign. Go to the next slide. So he comes up with a plan, and he starts splitting up his people In great fear and distress, Jacob divided the people who were with him into two groups, and the flocks and the herds and the camels as well. And he thought, if Esau comes and attacks one group, the other group that is left may escape. Then Jacob prayed, O God of my father Abraham, God of my father Isaac, Lord, you said to me, go back to your country and to your relatives, and I will make you prosper. Hear what's happening? Doubt is starting to set in. Okay? God told him to leave Laban. God warned Laban not to mess with him and not to say good or bad with him. The angels have met him and comforted him on his trip home, and he is still in doubt. He's still worried. He's still concerned to where he took two parts of his family and put them in one group, two parts the other group, and then he separated them to see who Esau goes after so that the other ones can get away and somebody would survive. I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you have shown to your servant. I had only my staff when I crossed this Jordan. Hear that? When he came that way, all he had was what he was wearing, a staff and a little bit of clothes. That's all he came with. Now he's coming back as a big troop with lots of people, lots of cattle and everything else, and he's glorifying God for that. That's a good thing to start with. Tell God thank you for what he does for you. When bad things are going to happen and you need to speak to the Lord, start out with thank you. I had only my staff to cross this Jordan, but now I have become two camps. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau, for I am afraid he will come and attack, and also the mothers with the children. So he has separated his two camps. He's got one of them going ahead of him. He's got the other one following, but he's lingering back. You know, putting off the bad thing as long as you possibly can. I think that's just human nature. You know, let me take as long as I can before I have to handle this. Maybe it'll just go away. But you have said, I will surely make you prosper. I will make your descendants like the sand of the sea, which cannot be counted. And he spent the night there from what he had with him and selected a gift for his brother Esau. He took 200 female goats and 20 male goats and 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, and 40 cows and 10 bulls and 20 donkeys and 10 male donkeys, and he put them in the care of his servant, each herd by itself, and said to him, go ahead of me and keep some space between the herds. And he instructed the one that leads, when my brother Esau meets you and asks you, who do you belong to? Where are you going? And who owns all these animals in front of you? Then you're to say, they belong to your servant Jacob and are a gift sent by my Lord to my Lord Esau. He is coming behind us. So here's the appeasement. He has great herds. He has taken the best of his herds and made little groups out of them and sent one way off there in front and then started separating them all. So Esau's going to come to one group after another one, and each one of them is going to be saying, this is a present for you from your servant Jacob. And each one will come through. And he's hoping that this is going to soften the heart of his brother who's coming with these men to meet him. And be sure to say, your servant Jacob is coming behind us, for he thought, I will pacify him with these gifts I am sending ahead. Later, when I see him, perhaps he will receive me. So Jacob's gift went ahead of him, but he himself spent the night in the camp. That night Jacob got up and looked to his two wives and 2 female servants and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford Jacob. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all of his possessions. So Jacob was left alone. He had done sent everything by. He is dragging his feet, folks. He knows something bad may be happening, and he is waiting as long as he possibly can. He's already sent all these groups with these camels and donkeys and everything ahead of him. He's sent his wife, he's sent his kids, and he's left all by himself now. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. And the man said, "Let me go, for it is daybreak." But Jacob replied, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." And the man said, "What is your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And he answered then, the man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel." And here's where the name Israel came from. Is God changed his name. Why? Because he wrestled with an angel. Because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. And Jacob said, "Please tell me your name." Okay? Here we get into a whole biblical theology about angels and their names. Angels normally are not named. If you will look at all the Bible and how many times angels' names were used, we got 2. Right? That's all we know of. It's 2. Because their names were supposed to be secret. There's power in the name. How do I know that? I'm a school teacher. If I want to get on a kid, the thing I do is I say their name. They don't like it when you call out their name. It gets their attention. It embarrasses them. I try not to do that. I mean, it's got to be pretty bad before I'll do that. If I want to encourage them, if I want to lift them up, I say their name. So it can be used either way. Well, angels' names were secret, and they did not give out their names. If you look, even when Jesus came and met with Abraham, when he was about to go destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, there were 3 of them. None of them gave their names. Okay? So that is just one thing in the biblical history that we notice, is how the angels kept their names tight and close. And he said, "Why do you ask by name?" Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel. And Peniel, go back to the map. One back. Okay. So you'll see right here, there's Mahanaim. That's where he sent his wives over the brook. And here's Peniel, where he stayed on the other side of the brook, and he fought with the angel. Those places are still there in Israel to this day. Important events that happen in the Bible that echo down through the years. And he was limp because of his hip. Therefore, to this day, the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because of the socket of Jacob's hip, which was touched near the tendon. We're going to continue this and talk about what happens next. But I want you to see what's happened here. Sometimes we just need encouragement. Sometimes we're going to need somebody to say, "It's okay." And it's going to be okay. Sometimes we just need to say, I'm not going to take it away, but I'm going to be there with you while you're going through it. That's the job of the Holy Spirit. Back then, it was the job of an angel. God would send a messenger. Today, he doesn't have to do that. Why? If you're a Christian, the Holy Spirit resides inside you. And he has promised, if you need the strength that resides inside you, all you have to do is ask for it. Ask for the strength of the Holy Spirit to be inside you, that's inside of you, to help you get through whatever you're going through. He doesn't always take bad things away. But he promises he's always going to be there to help us get through whatever we got to do. He wasn't taking this away from him. He was encouraging him and letting him know, I am there with you. What was that whole struggle about? You know, the honest truth is, we don't know. Do you think that an angel, the same type of angel that stood over Jerusalem with the flaming sword to wipe out the whole city, that God stayed his hand, couldn't have defeated one guy? That had to be allowed to happen to show him that it's okay for you to be nervous about stuff. It's okay for you to struggle with stuff. And yeah, things may go wrong. I mean, he limped from that day on after the angel touched his hip. But the angel was with him from that. And next week's story, part of this story, and the next week's part of this, we're going to see how God intervened and how God was there for those that love him. Always, let's hope, God's always there. Or more importantly, that we understand we need to ask him to help. Don't know your number of people come to me and say, Pastor, this is going on, that's going on. And I says, have you prayed about it and asked God to help with it? Well, kind of. Well, you need to get serious about it. You want God to be serious to help you? Get serious about praying for God to help you. God's there for you. He promised he would be. You're his. You're the elect. You were thought about before the beginning of time. He loves you. He cares about you. He wants to take care of you. And he's going to get you through what you need to get through. We've had some hard times coming up here. Think of the people with COVID. Think of people who have passed away in the last couple of months. Did God take those bad things away from us? No. Did he help us get through it? He was right there, helping us get through these things. You know, some of the way he helps? The people in this room, family. We're part of God's answers, by the way. We got one right now in the hospital, Gloria. Tomorrow morning, they're putting a pacemaker in because her heart rate was, what'd you say, Nancy, 30 what? 34? Somebody told me 34. 30 what? 36?
36 at 1 o'clock this morning.
1 o'clock this morning, heart rate 36. Tomorrow morning, they're putting a pacemaker in her and asked to get her ready for another procedure. They can't even do the procedure they need to do to her because of what's going on with her heart. So this is a procedure to get her where she can have a more severe procedure done. And that's how we take care of one another. We need to pray for them. Several of us are going to go visit today. But this church has been so good, folks. You take care of each other. I can't tell you the number of people, we were just talking about in Sunday school this morning, the number of people who had something going on, a loss of somebody in their family, or just like this last weekend, okay? The head of our school here, Melanie, her mother-in-law passed away. She calls me up and she says, Pastor, my mother-in-law passed away. And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, what can we do? She says, the only thing I need to do is I need you to let us use your eating area over here so we can have a little service for my mom. Everything else is taken care of. And I said, absolutely. That's how we take care of each other, helping each other with what needs to happen. You ladies are great. I thank you for joining us here at Frontenac Baptist Church, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. I thank you for joining us and being part of this. I hope you're getting a blessing from this sermon series. And once again, thank you for joining us at Frontenac Baptist Church in Cocoa Flats.